Buenas noches, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. Bueno, mi gente, as always, I want to start off by thanking everybody for you guys' words, prayers, and everything you express and put down and send my way. From the Cora, se los agradezco mucho. I appreciate it. Gracias. Now, to get into the story in hand, I won't continue on my story a little bit just to bring Tehachapi to a close. There was little numerous things that happened here and there, but I actually touched on them on the other channel, and I don't want to prolong this. I want to continue with my story, just in the hopes that I could, have the opportunity to put it out there all. But anyways, like I had said, things had unfolded with T from Kuka, and he had stepped back and got sent to Pelican Bay right before they pulled him back out to court, and he went through that trial with Maldito and all that little issue he had, right? And Tio Chino stayed behind. And again, he was a strict one. And it had to do with, he was just doing time, but he was just, he didn't like the way they gave him the last time. I'll just put it like that, right? So while this is going on, as I have briefly mentioned before, there was a camarada from Corona Park in Huntington Beach that, every city he had a lot of issues with him, right? To the point where he's always whining and crying to the police and requesting to be moved to a different cell or getting the okay, or the police speaking with the Judas to do so, right? So it became a problem. So I got requested to actually move in with the camarada and check him out, and I was trusted with that sense of scoping things and seeing if he was the problem, and if so, to go ahead and deal with it, right? Because so far he was getting his way when it came to flip-flopping cellies all the time due to little head bumps or that they were having in the cell. Now again, when it's two individuals in the cell, all you could do is take in what each side is saying and, to be considered good camaradas. But again, Tio Chino didn't have that patience, right? So, like a dummy, I dispuesto, and I'll do it, right? Even though at the time I had a cool celly, but I was always that eager person to jump the gun and do things, right? And never caring when it came to whatever good I had in my life. It always came in second base, right? Plus I was going through the little heartaches that with my child and all that had happened, right? So in a sense, my mind wanted to release. I say it sounds messed up, but it's exactly how we view things. We need to let out, and the only way we know how to let out is, making things worse, just sincerely, right? So anyways, I moved in with the camarada, and the first days, everything was firmes. But again, it was mandatory for you to guard that pedazo in the cell, which was supposed to be 2 per cell, and not chance losing it, or it was your butt. I remember they did a big search, and homeboy didn't want to stash it where it needed to be stashed, so he chanced it and left it, hit it real good and left it behind, right? And as a camarada to a camarada, all I could do is request, right? You know what's going to happen. Other than that, I can't force another camarada, right? Because again, even though I was there being the mouthpiece for the pili, at the end of the day, I was nobody, but simply, just a mouthpiece. So that was the first incident. We went back to the cell, and we actually had a little argument when it came to it for the fact that this wasn't coming from me. It was coming from the Pili, and he basically went against the green, right? Now, I wasn't that scandalous individual to where I'm going to go madrear and be like, hey, you know what I mean? So I got at him and told him, look, I don't know what you're thinking, but I ain't, I ain't the one. I don't go against the green. Just cause the person that implements this ain't here, don't mean that I'm going to turn a blind eye. So I'm just letting you know, either we do things correct or we do things incorrect, but correctly, And he was a hothead one. I got to give Navato his props when it came to it. And things got exchanged, right? And I myself has always been that, that feather trigger type of guy, which it don't take much to blow up, right? So homeboy wanted us to go ahead and boogie. I had the green light, but it was, again, I didn't want to be a comadre, and I felt I was going to be telling if I addressed deal with what arose to that point, right? What caused it, which was him not wanting to stash that where he should have to keep it safe. So I left it at that, even though I had the green light to go ahead and put some huevos coronas in him. But I didn't want that to be the excuse, because I've never been that lambe, turn anything. So I left that alone. But it was just little dumb things that the vato thought that he could basically come at me, not from the correct lane, but with his little attitude and stuff, and at the end of the day, I told him many times, look, I'm gonna tell you once, twice, when you speak with me, dress me like I dressed you. Because if you come at me sideways, I won't get down and I'm gonna boogie. Don't butt the ribs. And if we're gonna go against the green and not get that loose to boogie down, or best believe you're gonna pull your pedazo and I'm gonna pull mine, and we're gonna go ahead and boogie right. So, and he always like dispensa, and always been an idiot when it came to giving people the benefit of the doubt, right? If the vato ain't a rat, he ain't a rapist, he don't mess with kids, his paperwork's clean, there's always room for building, right? But it just, it got to the point where basically I made up an excuse and I told him, hey, they're saying they're gonna hit our pad. Let me get your thing, and we'll put them together and send them upstairs to the homie from Asusa and have them hold it while they do this. Cause I knew what was gonna happen, and I want them to find it, cause again, I wasn't a dummy when it came to doing things without thinking them through, right? And anyways, that happened, and the vato was in his shower shoes. Again, I'm not that individual to be whining and crying, so I didn't mind, at the end of the day, if the doors cracked, I was suit up and boot up, nobody was going to run up in there regardless. So if he wanted to blast in the cell with shower shoes, even though I knew he shouldn't, I just shine that on, again, I like giving people the benefit of the doubt, right? At the end of the day, if they start understanding, things start falling in its place. But anyways, I shot that out in a minute. I rolled the lineup, turned around and told him, hey, fool, go ahead, put your shoes on. And he was like, wow, what's up? Put your shoes on. And we're going to go ahead and just take care of some business. So you could tell right away he was like, again, he was a fool. I am not going to take nothing from him. And I had that okay, which would have been some other cat. I would have just took flight, right? But again, I don't like to do that. So put your shoes on. lace them up, and we're gonna go ahead and do this. So we did. And on the side we're on, of course, homeboy eventually took off towards the door, and I go there, I literally went there. I black out, so I didn't stop. And of course, the door made a lot of noise. Pelon and Cool Cat, they were my neighbors. And they started banging on the door like, hey homie, and well, it got to the point where till the Judas came and they did their little thing, spraying us and taking us out the cell. Then they put him in the shower in front of the cell. They took me to the shower on the other side where the Pili was at. So I could see the Pili cell, right? The one that had me moving there, and he just told me, hey. And I just told him, yeah. And that was that. There was no going back with Chino, put him on the hat, and that was a wrap for the camarada. And to be sincere, even though I had that okay to blast him, but he wasn't a rat, he wasn't all those extra things. So I put up couple coscorrones and sent him on his way, And the vato didn't lock it up, just to be sincere, put him on single cell, walk alone, and he didn't say nothing. And anyways, they put me back in the cell, and they left me on single cell. They didn't take the yard or nothing, just left me on single cell. And this is to answer someone's question that's been asking me if I could touch on how it was to be validated right in this time. And you see, I used to think I was a smart individual, but at the same time, I was very stupid. So I used to think I did things right. But even though I know it was there, I never really fully wrapped my thoughts around it. For example, I see a lot of people talk about rats, and there's a lot of rats on GP. Just being sincere. There's so many individuals throwing kites, telling the Huda everything that's happening to the dot, there. And that's a fact. But since I had gotten IGI to try to talk to me before, but I had never talked to IGI or had gotten any paperwork stating that IGI had an eye towards my way, right? Because in my mind, I was being smart, using a tier name, a papalote name, a huila, never keeping my name in the shadows. Even when I had the keys to some place, I always, at that yard had 5 blocks. I even had a bloquero that was running the block where I was in, and I always maintained in the sombras, right? But I never really gave the value on how everybody's telling on a GP. I mean, look, even from them dudes, right? Look, Mosca, look at all of them. Just sincerely, even though they're there, don't mean they're not going to medical and putting things in IG, in the squad's ear to politic against his carnal, but he's doing it by telling, as they're doing now on social media, right? They get all these active sureños to reach out to certain people and put stories out that's gonna have the Federicos lean towards that, Billy. Why? To wrap them up in a gang of stuff, lose control, and they could actually step on it. Because that's the 2024 politicking, as I will get into a little bit further down. But anyways, without losing track of this, this happened, and maybe a couple weeks, Pelon and Cool Cat from Azusa, they did some things. They handled their business, right? And they had gotten picked up and got transferred to Corcoran. Now both of them were validated already, so we knew they were going to be here. Again, at this time, I thought I was being smooth with things, right? Even though I had already gone to the 180 and I got rolled up by people telling on me. I was just that dumb, when it came to that aspect, thinking I was smarter than them, when in reality, I don't want to sound like that, but there's 5 cells on each side in the 180. 5 on the bottom, 5 on the top. Them 10 cells were camaradas, right? That's 20 camaradas. A good 9, 10 of them are telling. And that includes Peelies, and not to glorify or saying it's okay, because it's not, but I'm addressing it to the sense of my way I thought of thinking I was being smart, right? And, anyways, I was still fairly new when it came to Peelies, right? I didn't know them, and even when I hit the bay, I was still meeting Peelies that I had never heard of. For example, once Pelon and Cool Cat took off, they brought an older homie in that cell, and they called him Garfield. It's an old timer from Santana, from Orange County. And of course, like I said, I had the gallo. I was the mouthpiece, right? And I ran his name with the Tio Chino, with the rest of the Peelies there, and everything came back good, even from where he was coming from, Pelican Bay, because quote unquote he was gonna parole, right? So they brought him back down south, close to home. So anyways, at the time, this smart guy right here never put two together that he was asking me a lot of questions that me being, not too well in the game for that long, he was aware of that he shouldn't be aware. I didn't put that together, right? And my way of thought was, maybe since I'm in touch with Terco or for different Pilis that are up in the bay, it's getting around because I had not been to the bay at this time before. So, anyways, we're van neighbors, and he would ask me, and I was a sureño, he was a señor, so I had to answer. There was an obligation there not to lie to the Pili, right? So I did, and supposedly after a little bit, he was going to go out to Orange County for court, and that drag. So I went out to the committee hearing for the incel fight, right? And they ended up putting me up for transfer to Corcoran. It is when I got to Corcoran that I have told you guys that I hit 4 right. And when as I got there, the one that was holding the keys at the time was Travieso from MS, and a homie from San Jose. But as I always did, I got there, and I requested the avenues to touch base with B-Yard, and of course I paid my respects, even though a lot of people told me, don't tell Artie you're here, because the last Pili on the mainland that I was holding something for was Terco, right? And it was a known fact how Terco and Artie, they were bumping heads, got you. But that never surfaced, towards my way at least. And I did, and eventually I put myself in this position, and I got requested to hold A-Yard or be the one that was going to support with A-Yard, right? So I did, which I would start touching on Corcoran now and how things unfolded, and this was actually the first step on why they validated me. But it will come into play. Please just be patient. Before I go though, that little guy from Corona Park that I happened to run across him years later, he was still in the SHU. He was still not willing to take that step to the other side. So again, he might have had his little problems, but he wasn't that, So, it was just, I didn't believe in that, I didn't believe that if there was room for building someone, it would be that easy to throw away, to remove from a program. Maybe it's because how I was raised, where it's nothing but camaradas, right? We supported each other from in every angle. There was none of that barrio division, right? But as in Corcoran, he was in one right, and I eventually heard he paroled, so I just thought I'd put an ending to him since I discussed him, right? And on my next story, I will continue on with Corcoran. Sorry I extended Tehachapi so long. I just want to really put my story out there, but Well, I'm not gonna get into it because there's certain people that get on and say that I whine and cry, and I don't want that. Just do know that there's certain things happening right now that they're in God's hands, and it is why I've been a little MIA and don't know what's up. That's why if I sound a little bit not like my person, hopefully soon I'm able to share with you guys. But in the meanwhile, I have to allow things to flow through and hope for the best. Monday I got the last chemo, so thank you God that I've been able to do so many without having a backslash like last time, right? But anyways, my gente, with this, I hope everybody rests as well. Send my love, my respetos, my prayers always. Muy buenas noches. Please stay true to yourself and loyal to your loved ones. God bless.